Place your bets, everyone. How bad is Overwatch doing?
Bunch to talk about today. So, new year, new Overwatch. Aaron Keller has, however, inadvertently set the whole community ablaze as he has been promoting some fundamental game changes, but doing so out of context, only to realize later that, you know, in light of the backlash, it might have been a bad idea to do it like that.
Bobby Kotick is just 1 foot out of the door. It hasn't been even 2 months yet, and Overwatch is literally deader than dead. You gotta just love it. You gotta just love it.
Thing is, though, they may not be the only bunch trying to rethink the fundamentals of their game. Over in the land of Halo, we've actually seen a, at the very least, major change in a project, and then also, over with Colossal Order, well, it turns out them and their modders are having quite the struggle with the City Skylines community. Obviously, that's gonna be like a naturally spicy situation given the, interesting performance of City Skylines 2 on launch.
True, good game. Horrible performance, and some graphics just looked absolutely atrocious, but good game.
Pretty tricky situation. And meanwhile, people notice something really strange with Ubisoft. They've revealed a new game. Thing is, though, it really doesn't seem to be a new one, and the story behind that is really bizarre. By the way, if you are
Ubisoft ever doing anything with games is just a giant red flag. What has Ubisoft done noteworthy? Nothing. That's right, literally nothing. Oh, it's gonna be great.
Well, on this channel, we break down the game news at least 6 days a week. So consider hitting that subscribe button. Me and the team are working super hard to bring that to you. And with that said, I think it's time to do our first story, which is the ever-changing Overwatch. Okay, on the 12th of January, Alan Keller announced the first director's take of the year for Overwatch 2. And to do that, he teased something, and what he teased was this: self-healing passive for all roles. And yeah, that sparked quite a bit of controversy.
Dude, imagine, it hasn't even been a couple of years since Overwatch destroyed itself with its tank meta, where every team had just a bunch of tanks and a bunch of healers and no one could get a kill for 50 minutes. And tournaments even ended in situations where teams just decide, hey, how about we just all play our off roles and the winner takes all, because this is stupid. Man. Yeah. It completely destroyed Overwatch as an esports because no one was brain damaged enough to watch it back then. And now after Bobby Kotick left, the first thing they do is, remember that thing that completely ruined Overwatch and destroyed every hope that we had for the game? Let's bring it back, but make it worse. Man, these decisions are absolute peak performance.
This is a game that truly has shifted and changed so much over time. Now, beyond that, and going into the actual post, it seems to essentially be them trying to recognize reality, and this is something that's happened in so many games, right? You have an objective-based shooter, but what happens when people aren't playing the game the way they're supposed to? What happens if somebody's playing Battlefield and just is...
What do you mean not playing the game the way they're supposed to? If you make a game and people want to play it differently, then that means you made the game bad. You did not recognize that the people want to play it this way. You are objectively 100% in the wrong. If everyone's playing the game in a different way than you intended, they're right, you're wrong, and start adapting to the way that people want to play it. Not say, no, all of you are stupid. All of you players, stupid. You're supposed to play with this, that, and this. You're supposed to... It's like Bethesda answering bad comments in Starfield on Steam. No, the game's not bad. You're just stupid and you're not playing it correctly. Yeah, that is just the recipe for success, Blizzard. It is, truly.
Having fun, driving about, getting kills, but isn't playing the objective. Now, the difficulty is how you fix this problem, because you can't really punish players for having fun with the game that they've bought, but what if...
But they will try. Oh Lord, they will try.
Them doing that is then messing up, well, the game for the rest of their team. This is quite the problem. So, As such, they basically went through a bunch of additional features they'll be adding to improve the teamwork experience in Overwatch. So before I get to the crazy reactions, just to go over some of these details with you, essentially it's things around improving teamwork by improving their spawning system, adding in some UI features, some of the PvE modes to help with team knowledge, and maybe even a mini-map.
UI features to help with team knowledge. Is this gonna... this sounds to me like they're gonna do what Suicide Squad Delete the Justice League did. Dude, have you seen their UI? It's an absolute mess. It's like that meme, like that joke, where people said, hey, this is what Elden Ring's UI would look if Ubisoft made it. 15 quest markers, and from this big of a screen you have this much to see the character and where you're moving, and everything else is pretty much just leading to you to the shop. I can't wait, Blizzard. I truly cannot wait.
Map that will show where your team is, which will be really different for a game like Overwatch. Specifically, then, he went on to talk about overhauls to damage in the game, essentially wanting to reduce damage spikes, that being a particular focus for them. And then this led to the highlights from these changes, which would be part of a much larger overhaul. So he says that in Season 9, both tank and damage heroes will get modified, tuned down versions of the support self-healing passive. This should give non-support players more options in terms of sustaining themselves. It should also take some of the pressure off support players to keep everyone alive, since individual players now have more control over their...
Okay. Tell me now, what's stopping a team just from taking 5 tanks or 6 tanks or 4 tanks or however much people are supposed to play in an Overwatch match, and all going tanks with shields? And then just taking the shields out when they're all low, so, you know, the overtime regeneration just heals them up. Dude, this sounds like the best bad decision I have heard ever.
Their own health pool. Now, you can really say this is totally watering down the intended design of this game, right? That it's essentially homogenizing this stuff across the toolkits. It's maybe making some of the differentiators between, well, not tank, but at least damage and support, kind of making them a little bit closer to each other. And you can really see why this would be, if somebody wants to be, say, a lone wolf DPS, this could be maybe great for them. If they want to play support and do more than just heal, this, I suppose, could be great for them. But, I mean, if so, why would they even choose support in the first place? And, well, to suggest that players would respond...
Bro, after playing Overwatch, everyone's looking at this old Symmetra trailer and saying, wait, what is this Symmetra doing? Is there, like, some kind of form of brain damage right here? Who does this?
Pearly to this? That would really be an understatement. Because this is fully changing so much with Overwatch. It's making support, I suppose, less essential. I mean, again, like, as they say, dose makes the poison. As for video games, tuning makes the design. So if this ends up being so weak that it doesn't really impact what your strategy would be, you could say, why bother? You could say maybe it wouldn't be relevant to high-end matches because people are actually fully maximizing their roles, but for lower-end matches, it just is a less punishing experience, and maybe that's what they're doing. Of course, you always have that problem in a game like Overwatch, where you've got the top end of the players who are trying to squeeze the most out of the game design, and then you've just got the general audience who, in many cases, just wants to have fun. And if something is going to be sweaty and competitive, how is it also fun to just bash around in? Well, here's some tweets. Look, Lamau, it's time to retire. Look, a lot of these, like, it's not just like random people tweets. Actually, people who do have significant, you could say, buy-in into the Overwatch ecosystem, also quite spooked about this.
Every day we get closer and closer to becoming paladins. Dude, if there's one thing Blizzard does good, is just uselessly homogenizes every single class, takes every bit of uniqueness out of them, and just completely shits the bed. It is what it is.
Ultimately, though, this is the game moving far away from Overwatch 1. Now, that's not me saying that Overwatch 1 is some sort of golden standard. I believe there was a time within the Overwatch League where I forgot what the comp was, but it just resulted in the most stagnant, boring, slow games that just...
Yep, it was the tank method, the literal thing that completely destroyed Overwatch competitively.
Ended up being like, alright, we're all going to use our ults, and whoever does it best wins. That's the whole game. Yep. It was so boring to watch. But think about everything though. We've got the switch to 5v5 gameplay, the team comp's a lot more stratified, the original metas and the structures of the game have very much been changed, and this is continuing that trend. So if you like...
I mean, is it for the best though? The most recent biggest change I heard about Overwatch is that they completely removed Tracer's ass. Now there's just a blank void there because, you know, reasons, I guess.
Liked Overwatch all the way back then. Who's to say you're still going to like it in life?
I'm literally still placing money on the fact that Tracer is going to transition into Overwatch lore because it is what it is, boys.
Of all of these changes. Now, of course, from the developers, well, what are they trying to do? They're trying to look at the problems that are appearing from where they get their data, which is the people who are currently playing the game. Very, very hard to make this work. But notice...
Yep, this is a classic Blizzard problem, by the way. Blizzard is a pretty well-known developer of games, as we all know. A lot of us grew with Blizzard games playing them. Diablo and all of that good stuff, right? Warcraft 3 custom maps, for the Azeroth Watch strategy. You name it, it is what it is. The Dragon Ball maps, I played cooler. It was a time to be alive and sell. Man, I was good at that. But, in any case, hey, that time has passed, okay? Blizzard is no longer what it is. And they're shit. And the thing is with Blizzard, they have a lot of audience. And in every audience that you have, you can make good decisions, people are going to love it, and you can make bad decisions and people still are going to love it because that's called hardcore fan bases. And, well, Blizzard has a lot of fans, and they have a pretty big hardcore fan base that is a minority. And this is what happens. This small minority of people keep playing Blizzard games, and then Blizzard is like, well, our game's shit, we need to fix it. Kind of a good answer, right? Well, yeah. But then the way that they do come around fixing it is they start catering and listening to the people still playing the shit game. And the people playing the shit game, well, they're gonna probably give you examples of how to make the game worse. Because they didn't leave the game when it becomes shit, they kept playing it when it was shit because they're too stupid to tell the difference. And now you're catering to this minority of people who are okay with you essentially just ruining the game further and further and further because they either don't care, you know, maybe they're the classic 35-year-old dad with a wife and children and he has 5 minutes of spare time and he's okay playing Overwatch for those 5 minutes. And then Blizzard just caters to this audience. They're not catering to the majority that left and called the game shit. No, they're listening to the people that stayed and kind of actually are fine with whatever Blizzard does. And so the game gets worse in Blizzard's attempt to save it because, well, they're listening to the feedback, but the feedback is stupid.
Listening all of this, Keller did, well, say, hang on, I actually made a mistake. I should not have talked about this in isolation. He said that it was a part of a much larger set of changes coming in Season 9. Internally, they're talking about and targeting some changes around, as we said, the damage spikiness, the role of DPS in securing kills, and the strength of healing. But he said it was a mistake to talk about this lone change out of context because, well, I mean, it has to be taken in its full context, right? If a whole bunch of other things change, then, well, how much will this matter? Who knows? We haven't seen the full set of changes yet. So, essentially what I think is going on is that this is them pragmatically trying to solve problems that they're seeing when they look into their own player telemetry.
This, by the way, this changes nothing. Because think about it. How can you change the damage? You're giving tanks self-healing, okay? So, what are you going to do with the damage? Increase it? That's not going to work. They're never going to do that. If you increase blatantly the damage overall of all DPS classes, tanks just become weaker in paper and no one wants to play a tank because why would you, right? So, just revealing the small fact that they're going to do these things means that these changes are going to be for the worst. The chances are these changes are 100% going to end up being bad.
Because they have the data for all of those matches. And I mean, imagine if you have the data, you had the win rates, you know, you had, I mean, they'll have telemetry about Like, how did a player play? And did that lead to them stopping playing the game for a while? And while taking any one data point there for like one player, obviously, who knows why they stopped playing? Maybe something happened in life or they just got bored. But you start to take that in aggregate, and now you're studying player behaviors, and then they're trying to make changes around those player behaviors. It does remind me of, say, skill-based matchmaking, where per loads of telemetry, per loads of data, skill-based matchmaking does appear to work in getting more people to play the game for longer. But obviously, what does that do for the more dedicated communities of
He's just essentially saying MMR works.
those games? So yeah, it is what it is. And it is a cycle that these developers have had. You have characters like Torbjorn and Symmetra that are quite designed for a specific use case, a sort of player style. But then the developers have got to be faced with what happens when you actually start playing that game, when you see how players play them. Well, in many cases, it doesn't end up meeting the developers' expectations. It doesn't actually work for the meta in the way that they wanted at, say, different skill levels. Then they go and they change up those characters, and then the people who originally were drawn to those characters, well, they're no longer as happy. And this just keeps on happening.
Yep, this is a common Blizzard problem. It's especially prevalent, by the way, in things like Diablo 4. People absolutely hate it. When they haven't played the game for like one day, they log in and suddenly their character is just weaker because Blizzard decided to nerf something. No one wants... It's a real struggle playing something, for example, like Diablo... Wait a second. Like something for like Diablo 4. And just logging in every day and hoping that your character is not magically weaker for whatever stupid reason. And then figuring out, oh, they nerfed this insanely overpowered build, but I'm not even doing that build. They just nerfed me by accident now, and this thing is unusable. It sucks. If you implement so many changes so constantly, people that are not reading patch notes, which by the way are the majority of people, it is what it is. The majority of people don't read patch notes. They just log in and guess what? Now their build is shit. Sucks. It's really bad. You can't actually change the game so aggressively constantly. But then again, then you kind of land into the other situation of, for example, League of Legends or Dota 2, where, well, changes are made, but changes aren't made often enough. For example, you can have literally situations where a month or two go by, and, well, a character or two are blatantly overpowered, and so they're 100% pick or 100% ban, and the team that gets them just kind of wins because they're just so broken, and no one likes that. Not a lot of companies do this balancing thing properly.
It's especially been a problem, though, for support that has changed quite a lot. Characters like Mercy, like Symmetra, just constant reworks in light of player complaints. And as time goes on, well, things get diluted, things get changed. The broth no longer tastes like it used to, and for a lot of people, Overwatch is no longer Overwatch. Even though a lot of those changes, from the developer's point of view, will have been, well, examples of pragmatic problem solving. How do we get around this problem? Honestly, I don't necessarily know. I generally have a sort of build it and they will come attitude to things, but it's very easy for me to say that sitting in a chair here, not running a massive live service game with the pressure, I assume, of hitting player number targets and revenue targets and all of the crazy things that no doubt the people making decisions on a game like this have actually got to grapple with when they decide to clock into work in the morning. I suppose I would say with Overwatch 2, I actually enjoyed it more than the previous times I played Overwatch 1, and that was because it went, seemingly to me, a bit more lethal, a bit more sweaty. The idea that maybe one person can really carry a team if they just play that well. Maybe they don't want it to be like that anymore. We'll have to wait and see. To move on, though...
Why not? If you don't let that happen, then you are completely ignoring what was said at the start here about skill-based matchmaking mattering. If you do not let people solo carry games, those people are not going to be satisfied with it.
Though, to actually something that has... I don't know what to think, because initially I'm really disappointed about this. As you know, I love Halo. Have loved Halo for a very long time. I think Halo Infinite is a marvelously designed shooter that has had massive problems as a product, but actually I do have to give them credit, especially with the later updates, things have been going better for Halo Infinite. As an example, if you just look through the last year, you can see we're on a little bit of a lull now, but hey, that lull is actually better than where they had been, and whenever they have been doing the seasonal updates, they've actually been able to re-engage people. And of course, that's just me looking at Steam charts. A lot of the Halo people are obviously going to be on consoles, therefore not on Steam. But what's happening here doesn't regard that. It regards certain
casuals.
They, for a very long time, I would say rumor, it's been almost an open secret that they've been working on something in Halo, and that very widely has been believed to be a battle royale within that universe. Now, on the Xbox Era podcast, a leaker claimed and was backed by the host that they had independently heard rumors that the battle royale is no longer a project in development. Now, they did not confirm that those rumors...
Wait. We know from yesterday that these rumors are supposedly 100% true.
Were true. They did confirm that those rumors are something that they have heard that's been passed around the, I suppose, the leaker circles. Now, the thing is, that will have been quite surprising to the general audiences, and the reason why is Certain Affinity have actually talked a hell of a lot about how they are working with 343 and Microsoft. In April 2022, as an example, they wrote this: "We've been part of the Halo franchise for more than 15 years. We're honored to say we are deepening our relationship with 343 and have been entrusted with further evolving Halo Infinite in some new and exciting ways." Then, in September of that year, they said to VentureBeat that they are doing something unannounced. They're doing a sort of lead development on this unannounced thing from conception to...
Isn't this the story of Halo completely crashing because people don't like it? The microtransactions were absolutely atrocious, and, well, now it's slowly getting better, but not better enough. It's like very minor increments better. It's not really that great anyway. Isn't that the story pretty much of Halo?
Design, it's something big and new for the franchise. They can't say more, and they have close to 100 developers working on it. Now, the thing is, it's not like we've heard about a massive wave of layoffs or anything at the company. They do actually still seem to have all of those stuff. So, to put this together, right? They've been very deep in this franchise. For a long time, the big leak was Project Tachanka, which was this Battle Royale game. Now, for me, honestly, I could see a Battle Royale working quite well with the big Halo sandbox. Maybe if you were to actually also have some sort of PvPvE elements as well into that Battle Royale, I could see that being something that I would play. I think the question, though, is that something that I would play again and again and again and again and again and buy 5 battle passes for? Because maybe that is the threshold a project has actually got to reach for it to be worth bothering with. Because I suppose if it ends up just being like a Battlefield Firestorm, like just this thing we've made, there you go, play it, I guess, then it ends up being a hell of a lot of work into something that won't have legs. Ultimately then, we've not heard of layoffs. There are still these 100-odd developers who I think we all have to assume are still working on something, and maybe we'll see evidence of that. Perhaps, though, this could be an example of not playing yesterday's game. We talked about the Suicide Squad game, right? Where it seems that was a little bit doomed from the outset because...
An absolute disaster. Oh boy, yeah, this one was absolutely just not it.
Because it was greenlit in a very different era of our industry. It was greenlit, but, you know, before Anthem was completely shit-canned, as an example. So maybe it is the case that seeing this Battle Royale project and maybe looking at how some of the industry is moving more towards extraction shooters and there is some live service fatigue, maybe that is them trying to not fall into the trap that Rocksteady ended up falling into with the Suicide Squad game. Only time will tell. I do wish them the best because, honestly, a world with more and better Halo content, that is a world that I want to be in. Now, let's move on to developers and modders both having a bit of an issue. So, before the holidays on Loading Screen, which we publish on bellular.ghost.io, new URL coming soon. And that's, of course, where we can get all the other stuff that we do and support our mission here, because, tell you what, CPMs on AdSense, they certainly won't. I mean, as in, literally, we've had extremely strong views the last few days, and pure, like, AdSense alone, no, this whole operation would actually be running at a loss. So, yeah, people on Ghost, thank you. We really appreciate it. Now, on Loading Screen, we covered the case of deranged...
True, YouTube's money has been, well, cut by almost, well, 1/4, I would say, in the past, like, month or so for the same views.
Eddie, who is a City Skylines modder. And, well, they said this: I just can't do it anymore, and the behavior of the community makes me wonder what happens to me down the line if I write a popular mod and then it breaks. So he was basically unhappy with the wider community, as he sees it, treating both developers and fan modders, obviously following the release of City Skylines 2. And
Nice.
that's been a very interesting one. Obviously, City Skylines 2 was quite ravaged on Steam. It had some severe performance issues. When I looked into the broad City Skylines community in YouTube, you do...
Is this gonna be one more story where someone creates a mod and then the community just tries to rip him apart for not updating it for free, and when someone asks for money for a mod, everyone tries to dox him and send him pipe bombs or something like that? Is this gonna be one more of those situations? Man, I love it. Free modding, boys, it is what it is. Hey, if you're a modder, you better like modding for free, because if you don't, well, your ass is cooked.
You see a lot of people getting access to the game and saying, look, I think this is a really great game. These, these issues, they are a problem. So a lot of acknowledging, but I think generally that community from the creator side being quite willing to say, okay, it's unfortunate it's had to come out now, but this is the way that it is. And in the long term, I can see this being a great platform for continued gameplay. There's that side. But then I think when you go onto Steam, you have a lot of people who buy the game, have a bad experience, and are pretty damn angry about that. And in the case of Deranged Teddy, well, he pulled all of his mods. He said he's pulling them until things change, and he ended by saying, please rethink your behavior, because modders aren't going to stick around in a community that is this toxic and hostile to developers. So that's where
Hey, at least he's not a Bethesda modder, okay? Man, if he dares to even ask for donations for mod, man, he would be lynched. It is what it is.
The story last left off. So what's happened now is the CEO of Colossal Order, Marina Hallikainen, has, she's published the weekly update. But in that weekly update, well, they've been talking about what's going on. Now, what this also contained was updates and fixes, or at least talk about their progress on updates and fixes for the game after the holiday break, highlighting that the editor tools would soon be in a closed beta in a matter of weeks, and promise of a bug patch coming in shortly. Of course, those editor tools being closed beta for that community, that is going to be a really, really exciting moment. So that seems good, but it also, the update post that is, contained a request for people to please consider their actions, not just in talking to devs, but also talking to other fans in the community, because, well, from what they can see, the sort of degree of anger and toxicity has grown to a rather unprecedented level, despite some warnings, which to me is an interesting thing, because I feel like the warning there could be counterproductive, even if completely understandable. I mean, undoubtedly, it's a really tough situation. Got to imagine that if they were able to get, say, a contract extension on their development budget, that maybe, if they could release this game 6 months later or a year later, that they would probably...
City Skylines is City Skylines. It is what it is. Oh, wow, this City Skylines... Oh, look at that. It's Pal Worlds a little bit, I think. No, it's not. It's something else. Who cares? Anyway, Billiard, fantastic Overwatch news. It is what it is. It's dead on arrival, baby. Kind of hilarious. Yeah, that was Billiard. Good times. Good times. The news. Anyway, this was controversies, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.